Management Associate Program Information Science session number 2. So today we have the current and past management associates that will be sharing their experience and more in-depth details on the program. So without further ado, let me introduce you to our speakers for today. We have Shivita Nayanika Nair and Leong Yu Jen, who are management associates. And we also have Kor Young, a senior data analyst at Great Eastern. So hi guys, how are you today?
Good.
Very well.
Very well. How are you?
Good. I am great as well. Thank you. So maybe you guys could introduce yourself a little bit more to our audience. We could start with Kor Young.
Hi. I work as an analyst. So I think I joined Great Eastern as a management associate about 5 years ago. Yeah, quite a while already. Yeah, 5 years ago. So we're working as a data analyst, analyzing our product trends, COVID trends in company, how it affected us as a company as a whole, and yeah, and how we progress from there, based on all the data that we have. So,
Okay, nice. And yourself, Shivita?
So I joined Great Eastern in 2020 January, and I'm actually finished the Management Associate program, and I'm currently attached with Learning and Development. So we focus on things like training and stuff like that.
All right. And yourself, Leong Yu Jen?
Yeah, you can call me Jen.
Okay, Jen.
Yeah,
nice to meet you, Jen.
Right. I'm still a management associate, and I'm almost completed years of it. So I'll be done around December time. Yeah, end of December, so I'm done. I know that for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So my current role right now, I am working in Takaful site and in human capital.
All right. So how do you guys enjoy your current positions after the session after your management associate program?
That's for you guys.
I think it's really different because the MA program is catered to do a lot of different things, right? You learn on your hard skills, soft skills, and a lot of things. But when I as a permanent staff in data analytics, so it's focusing a lot on hard skills, about brushing up the skills you need to do data analysis, on how you talk to stakeholders. Yeah, I think it's a lot different. In fact, sometimes I feel I miss being an MA because we do different things.
Yes.
Then now we're just kind of stuck at one place. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Ko Yang put it quite well. You know, as a management associate, you get to do a lot of things. You get to have your hands in all the cookie jars, but you know, once you find your role or that permanent department, as we call it, it's basically just that. And then it's about being specialized and really knowing all the ins and outs of that particular role. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So now that we've heard a little bit from our speakers, let's start this session. Yeah. So we'll move on to the first question, which is, could you tell us a bit more about your personal experience during the application process for this particular program? We can start with Jen.
Okay.
Since you're still still in the program, right? So maybe share your personal experience for the application.
Okay.
How it started, from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, what did I apply to and everything? Okay, so I find this program to apply to begin with was actually the title, not the company. So I noticed the management associate role was available in several companies. It wasn't just Great Eastern. And so my background was actually in, psychiatry, psychology. And so when I was looking around for jobs, this was in 2020. So a lot of companies actually froze hiring because of COVID when it hit. Looking for, jobs in biotech and everything, but no one was hiring at that moment. And I saw that bigger companies like, financial institutions were doing like this management associate program. And also Pantai Hospital had one. Fun fact. So I that. And then when I searched for that, all the other management associate roles just like came up on my search, and just applied to Great Eastern as well, because I kind of like the way that they described what the program was about. So joining a corporate company that's not related to my background, what I really wanted to do was to try out many different things, because like I wouldn't know what to afford, do I go
Yeah,
to
that's true.
Yeah. So seeing that they had this thing where, you could rotate to various places got me like interested in this role, because I was like, yeah, this is how you find out how a company works as a whole from a very high level perspective, and also like
True.
what exactly maybe what could I be good at doing in a company. So then I applied to, a handful, not that many. Great Eastern, Pantai, I think that's the only ones. I wasn't really looking at the other management associate programs, and it was pretty quick actually. My experience was quite good. HR contacted shortly after, and I had a phone interview. And then after that, they sent me an email saying that the first round is to present something. So they gave a topic to us about insurance.
And this was all during COVID?
Yeah, so everything was done virtually.
Okay.
In person. So when they gave us the topic, we just had to record a presentation, which was what I heard in the past. It was done physically. If you come to our office and you give a presentation. So I think I had it good there. I could take so many takes. Yeah. Somebody did that. Then we wait for a call. If we pass that round, we got to a group round. So like several other people who, I see today, they also like got in. We just sort of like, it's quite casual. They were very unintimidating about everything. And, it's it's very friendly. The bosses were very friendly. So we just like had a chat. And if you sort of pass that round, then you go to the head of department of HR. And that's also very relaxed. Surprisingly, quite relaxing. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was quite a good one. How did you guys find it?
Yeah, okay. So that sounds like a really good and easy experience. So what about you, Shivita? How was your experience? Was it the same? Was it during COVID or way before?
Slightly different from Jen, because I came in just before COVID, so it was a physical. I think it'd be similar.
Okay.
So very similar to what she just said. You start off with the first interview, which is a phone call. And then if you make it through, then you're sent an assessment. And of course, you do the assessments, and then you're called in for a second interview. That's usually the group interview. And once you finish that, if you make it past, then of course you meet head of HR. So throughout the entire process, it might seem like a long process, but it's relatively fast. It's very unintimidating. They have made us feel very welcome. In fact, I still remember once I finished my interview, the first group interview, I went home and my mom asked me, so how did it go? And I said, I don't know. It was so relaxed that I don't know.
And just that you didn't feel the pressure of like a usual interview, right?
Yes. So it was a very, I think, different experience from the standard interview process. But of course, it's much longer than a standard interview process, because the program itself is relatively prestigious.
Okay. So I'm guessing the first bit of it was easy lah. Like it's very relaxed and not intimidating, like you guys said.
Yeah. It's not intimidating. Easy?
Oh, it wasn't easy. Okay. All right. What exactly was the team interview? So you had like a group that you had to be interviewed with?
So other applicants who applied for the same role, they put you into, and basically from my experience, it wasn't technical. So they didn't ask any technical questions about insurance or any particular field that you might want to join. So it was just kind of more like to see how you are with other people, whether you can hold a conversation, how you work with others, that kind of things, what they were assessing.
Okay, understood. Okay, Koryang, what about your experience?
I think my experience, even though it's 5 years ago, is quite similar to how
it was similar?
Yeah,
how long ago was it? 5 years ago?
5 years ago, it was in 2017 anyway. I think the entire interview from the application until the job offer was within 2 weeks.
Okay, that's really very fast.
It's really good. I remember applying on JobStreet, and within about 2 days, I got a call from HR. Then immediately about 2 days later, they asked me to come down to KL, because I'm from Penang. So they wanted me to, because it's back then it wasn't COVID, right? So I had to do face-to-face. So I had to take the earliest flight to fly in here. Then I had I think I had a one-to-one interview for the first round. Then the second one I had the same one as well, the group interview, where we were given presentation topic. to talk about. Then we'll put in groups to, I think in a way to debate among ourselves as well. Yeah.
Okay, so in a way you kind of get like opinions from others, and then
Yeah.
you discuss a lot of things with your
Yeah.
peers.
Yeah. Then I think
Okay.
only after the final round, they informed me on the decision, I think the day after. Yeah, so it felt
Oh, that
really,
was really fast.
yeah, it
Yeah,
felt
that
really,
is actually really fast.
yeah, which
In
I
2 weeks'
felt
time,
very,
from the first until
yeah,
the end.
quite impressed by the HR here. In
Mhm.
fact, I felt, oh,
Quite
it's a bit too
impressive.
fast, you know.
That was
I'm in the midst of other interviews. This is way too fast. Yeah,
Mhm.
but when I came in, then I can see why it's so fast, like, because the people here, they really work quite efficiently. So
Oh,
they don't,
okay, that's good. So
so
that explains the very fast process that you went through.
Correct.
Okay. So that sounds like a very good experience to join the management associate program.
Yeah.
Easy, like you said, we don't know, but at least it's not intimidating, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah. Okay, so on to the next question. How are the right departments for management associates decided for the job rotations? Like, how would they know when to rotate and what to rotate?
It's based on availability, right?
Um,
That's to some degree.
Yeah, I think it's there's a few things they look at usually. So I think the first main one obviously is they look at your background and your the role of study and stuff like that. So just to see whether to that department. Obviously we're allowed to come up with our own choices as well. So just say if I want finance or I want strategy, I'm allowed to ask.
Okay, that's good. So at least they know what you want in a way, right?
Right. And they're more,
Okay.
I think, to even allow you to go into places that you have not studied in, or for example, if I didn't study finance, they are open to allow you to go into those places. But of course, letting you know that, this is definitely something that's probably going to be very new to you. And then I think second would be based on interest. So I think study first your background and then, what's available and your interests and stuff like that.
Okay, so what was your first job position?
Oh, my first one
Your
was
department.
human capital in talent acquisition, so recruitment.
Okay.
So it's
Was that your first? How long were you there for? How long did they decide like a certain department to be yours before you switch it?
I think usually it's about 4 months. That's the standard this thing, 4 months. But obviously, if you really like it and if your supervisor loves you, then we can extend it to about 6 months, 7 months, maybe maximum. But obviously they try not to go further because they want you to have the whole associate program experience. So
Okay, understood. What was yours, Jen? What was your first department that you were put in?
Oh, okay. So my first department was a little bit random. The ones later on I did have a say about where I went, but the first one was
Okay. Pardon?
group insurance.
Oh, okay.
So it's like,
Was that based on your background or
oh, not all.
it was
So,
just a random placement?
yeah. So that at the time, because okay, so in our program, we also have this thing called F-Step. So that's something that we are sent off outside of the company to train under Bank Negara about like finance and all the things related to financial institutions. So I was going off, I joined in January and I was going off to F-Step in March. So there was 3 weeks between then. And so I just like got placed somewhere, be like, okay, yeah, just try this out. And yeah, no questions asked. I just joined.
Okay. All right. What about you, Koryang? What was your first department?
Oh, my first one was in risk management.
Risk management. How was that for a first timer in that?
Yeah, I felt very new. I think that time it was a very small department. Yeah.
Understood.
But I think it was quite fun because it's chill.
Yeah. And plus you get to experience something different than what you expected every now and then, right? Because you rotate it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. So what was expected of you on your first day as a management associate? Like what did they tell you what they wanted you to achieve or?
I don't think they ever have, but I think, you come in here knowing that you should have a good attitude, and I think just a growth mindset throughout the entire program. They've never really told us what we need to be, but I think just more of all these sort of programs, these are the kind of mindsets you need to have: a growth mindset, somebody who wants to learn, be open. Agility is very important because you move from one place to another just like that. So you learn to adapt. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, also, I think there were some things that they did sort of tell us to expect. So in the program, unlike a typical, like, you just go in to do your job and everything, we have a lot of extra things outside of our jobs to do. And here's where they kind of give us a lot of hands-on experience, and they sort of just, say, here's the wheel. And they let you manage a lot of events and, really take charge of events. Like, you really become the project manager and everything. So from the start, at least for me, they did make it clear, and they're like, okay, so there's a lot of these extra things that you got to do on top of your jobs, and what you make of it is up to you. You want to take the lead positions, or do you just want to kind of like hang back a little bit and, you have to take part in all the events and kind of learn from each other. It's up to you, really, but you do have that sort of, you do have the option to take on a lot of projects, do the best in your departments. You pick your battles, right? Which ones you want to focus on.
Okay. What were you expecting as a first timer on the first day as a management associate?
On the first day, I heard a lot about these event planning and everything. And so I did expect that. It wasn't that surprising, but the scale of it maybe was like, oh, okay, so to this extent, event management, okay. But I thought what the program did match up to my expectations. You go to various departments, you do the work there, and then you also kind of take on extra projects on the side as well.
Yeah. Okay. Any other experiences on your first day? If you expected anything other than the ordinary, and then something else happened?
I think it's exactly what Jen said. I think most of us, when we hear management associate program, we always thought of job rotations. We don't really think of anything else. But the truth is, joining here, similar to many other programs outside as well, the job rotation is just one part of it. We are also given many assignments beyond our job rotation, and some of which are very, I would say, very important roles because it involves the senior management as well. And we also get to do some of the events for the firm, right? Then that allows us to also meet many people within the organization. Yeah.
Okay, so by having other activities, other job scopes than your usual ones, is that like before or during office hours that you're supposed to
I think
accomplish them?
It is. Yeah, it's about managing your time well. Obviously,
so you have to okay.
Yeah, you do have your job, your actual rotation work that you need to do. But you also have all these lists of things that you also need to do. So, it boils down, I think, to how well you manage and, what do you want to do.
Organizing and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah. That's a large part to be during office hours. Though, because when you're working all these things, it involves everyone else. Like, so many people in the company that the best time to reach them is during office hours. That's when they're online, So it is a matter of juggling. And then if there's anything extra where you don't actually need someone else online to do your job, you have the option to do it after.
Fair enough. Okay, that's very true. Okay, so moving on to the next question. So could you briefly describe some of the duties you were given throughout the program? Maybe we could start with your first department. If you remember it, yeah, that would be a great experience. And then how, it progressed from department to department.
Yeah.
Yes, first department. I couldn't remember much from my first department, I think. But I can share a bit on the second department that I've been to. The second one, I was involved in investment. So that time particularly in fixed income. So I had to do credit research on several companies that Great Eastern would like to invest in. So some of the bonds, like for example, KLCC bond, Sakura bond, basically just whether it's government bonds, right? So I did credit research on those. Then, yeah, and also did some modification in our internal credit scoring model. So it's really heavy on the investment side, and I find it really it was a really steep learning curve because I did not come from an investment background. So at that time I joined, they had quite a high expectation what I can do.
Yeah.
So I remember a lot of late nights working here on top of other management associate responsibilities. Yeah, and but good thing is that when I was there, the seniors were really helpful, and they didn't mind staying after work hours to explain more on how you can achieve and what you can achieve in that role, right? And to explain a bit more on how I can help myself as well. Then on what kind of resources I can refer to, in case I'm confused on certain terms. Then yeah, I think that gave a very good exposure on the investment department of an insurance company.
Okay. What about your current department? How is that what is the difference between your first and your current one?
It's quite different. The current one I'm in is in data analytics. So we look at a lot of data. So, as to expect from insurance firm, the data come from our claim data, our policyholder data, then on our agency data as well. So we did a lot of study on how we can improve our agency business and how we can bring in more customers. For example, many of us Malaysians are also either uninsured or underinsured, right? So the study is also done on how we can better insure those group of people and how we can also serve our existing customers better. So we look at a lot of things, and also at the same time, we also did studies to how we can negotiate with hospitals, because you know how hospitals are always increasing.
Always
right?
need it. Yeah, true.
The long cycle, how hospital bills increase, then premiums will go up because the premiums received cannot meet the higher cost of hospitalization. So yeah, so we did a lot of studies in a way to put hospitals in check so that they don't increase too much. So yeah, so that's the huge chunk of my work, the data analyst for now.
Okay. What about you, Shivita? How was your first department? Like, what were the duties that you had to do during your first department?
So my first one was with talent acquisition, so recruitment basically.
Yeah.
So basically, I looked at the end-to-end process of recruitment. What we do is, literally, of course, you have a position that opens up, and then obviously you post that particular position, and then you screen all the potential candidates, and then you call. So it's literally, I would say, the end-to-end process of the interview. But what was, I think, nice about it is, I think before this, many of us don't know how a full interview process works. We've all been through an interview, but there's a lot of things that happen prior and happen after interview process. So I think that part of it was extremely nice to see as well as learn. So I have a newfound appreciation for recruiters.
Understood.
But it's also interesting because you get to recruit for various departments. Hence, you get to sit in these interviews, and you get to actually meet a lot of different hiring managers. You get to learn about partially what they do and what they look for. So yeah, it's relatively interesting. Obviously, my first department, so just keep an open mind and you try to learn as much as you can.
Fair enough, because it's your first time in it, right?
Yes.
Okay. Compared to the current one, what are your duties?
So
for your current department?
Current department is with learning and development. So I'm somebody, I think, who likes to do a lot of presentations, talking, and stuff like that. So I realized that my passion is towards learning and development, so training and teaching and stuff like that. So what we normally do over here is we profile people to the respective courses that they're supposed to, for the specific years that they are in. So for example, if you're a manager year 1, then these are the list of courses you need to do. At the same time, we teach, right? And yeah, so I think that's basically the big chunk of learning and development. Of course, there's so much more, but I don't think we can get into the nitty-gritty detail.
Understood. But what's the most tedious, maybe like the tedious duty that you've had to do for the current one? Or like long thought process, what would you think? What did you feel?
We don't have anything particularly too tedious. I would say all of it is very strategic.
Okay.
Because we need to think about what's next all the time. That's the thing with learning, right? You can't keep teaching the same thing all the time. So it's always about progression. It's always about moving forward. So it's always it's like a chess game. You need to
fair enough.
How to do your move that you did last round.
The last round. Okay. What about you, Jen? What could you describe some of the duties you were given throughout the whole program?
The whole program? Wait, what rotations did you guys do? Like what were all the departments you went to?
Operations, strategy, digital affinity, digital transformation. So a variety.
Okay. Quite good already. Mine was a lot longer. Most of them are 6 months, so I only had operations, analytics, investment, and risk management.
Okay.
I only had 4. So.
Yeah, I'm more similar to Koh Yong because I did longer rotations for mine as well. It was a choice. The standard is to do 4 months, but if you would like to do 6 months, maybe because that would mean that you get to go a bit more in depth in like the department. So it's up to you kind of what you want to do. So I chose to do kind of longer rotations everywhere. So I have fewer. My first one was group insurance. And again, I don't come from a technical background, at least not a relevant technical background. A lot of my rotations were something that you could learn on the job. I didn't really need like prior knowledge to actually do my work. So my first department was group insurance. And even though this is essentially a B2B insurance, so instead of selling it to individuals, you sell it to companies, and the companies would then insure their employees, and that's how you're covered for for all these things when you are employed, right? So I didn't do any of the sales part or anything, which is what people tend to imagine when you do insurance. Group insurance, health insurance. When I joined, there were 2 tasks given to me. One of them was a process improvement, which is kind of more related to strategy for a certain department, because we want to see like how can we improve the processes there, because there seems to be a lot of like bottlenecking over there. Probably it's like, it's credit control, so there's a lot of like people not paying up their premiums and all that. So it was just kind of figuring out what sort of solutions can we suggest to them. And the other part of it was that there are sales decks and brochures, those things that sales people use to sell their products to the buyers, and also the handbooks that they would give to employees after they have bought the insurance. So you're like, okay, what are you covered for? So those things are like very outdated, and so a lot I spent redoing all of it to refresh it and then update it. In that sense, that was quite a steep learning curve because I had to know all the products and I had to learn. But, a good supervisor who sat right next to me, so I'm just always like going to her. That's good. So that was my first department. My other departments after that went to FSTEP, and then after FSTEP I went to internal audit. So internal audit was an accident. It wasn't really an accident. It was our boss asked me where would I like to go next. I had my eye on healthcare services because that's a bit more relevant to my background. But then they were like, do you want to try audit? It's available right now. And I said, okay, I'll try like 1 month, right? I went, and then I extended, and I actually liked the environment in there. Surprisingly, everybody was just like, oh, nobody likes auditors. But it's nice. The culture in there was nice. So I extended it to 6 months, to the end of the year.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. That's actually really long. That's nice. Especially coming from like a background that wasn't really with auditing. You generally enjoyed it. That's good.
I did. Yeah. It wasn't accounts auditing. It was internal auditing. So it was departments like standard procedure and everything.
So what were some of the duties that you had in that department?
For audit, well, we have to do everything. So like every audit period for every single department that you audit, you will have to go through the same process. So the first one will be walkthrough so that you understand what the department is supposed to be doing, what they have set in place, and then see if they're actually doing it right now. So then they will set the goals of their work, and then you sort of like really meticulously check and whether they are following the procedures that they were supposed to. And if they don't, you call them up and be like, hey, what's up with that? And that's
Okay.
why you make enemies, okay? But you make friends in the department.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
In the
That's
department.
That's nice.
Yeah. And then later on, I went to healthcare services. So I got that. I did that for 6 months. And then I moved out to human capital in Takafulsite.
Okay. Where you are now,
Really,
right?
right. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Those are really nice duties and experiences that you had in different roles. So would you guys recommend like talents to do a management associate program than a full-time opportunity if given the option?
I think at the end of the day, it's a very good program, and I think it boils down to what you want. So the program itself offers the chance for people. One, if you're not sure what you want to do, and this is I think where you can put your hands, in different departments and test the waters, so to speak, and see what it is like. Then there's of course the other side of it where you may know what you want, but it's still the fact that you get to learn so much rather than just focusing on one thing, which you're anyway going to be doing for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You sort of have this opportunity to dabble in a lot of things and sort of meet a lot of different people. Chances are with the program, like Koyang said as well, you get to meet senior management teams, the CEOs, and things like that, because that's part of the program experience, which probably in a lot of a normal sort of situation or department that you go into is just you and your team and pretty much about it. So yeah, I think it's definitely a good program, but again, it boils down to what you're looking for.
Okay, would you recommend it to, like, compared to like a full-time job? Would you recommend it for especially fresh graduates to try the associate program?
I would, because anyway, the program is 2 years, right? And
Yeah.
you have the rest of your life to be stuck in one department.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah. So I would.
I agree with that. I would think that it depends. It does depend on people, because I have met some who have no interest in trying out many different departments. They just want to go in one and kind of, deep dive and specialize in that thing and get good at it. And they don't really want to think about anything too much. But I think for the most part, if you have the opportunity to do one, it's very, very good exposure to a lot of things that you otherwise would not have even thought of.
Yeah.
So like I could come in thinking like, strategy is the way for me. I'm not interested in operations. I'm not interested in finance, anything. But then again, you don't know what you don't know. And I feel like this gives you that chance to explore what you don't know. And yeah, like Shweta said, and I agree, you have your whole lives to stay in one department.
Yeah, that's it.
2 years.
That's actually a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Very true.
Try everything out, why not?
I think even if, let's say, you were to find a department or role that you're interested in, I think some of us actually got permanent in that position before the end of program. So they decided that, hey, there's a headcount here, and I'd like to continue in this department, and I'd like to stop my. And I think HR will consider, and in some cases, HR did approve those colleagues to stay in that department.
Yeah.
So in that case, you can even cut short if, let's say, you want to. But I think most of us did finish the program.
Yeah. The HR here is is very open and very receptive. So it does feel like a safe space to kind of talk about your options and discuss about like, okay, I've experienced this, I don't like it. And so leave and go somewhere else. Or that you really like it, you want to stay. They are very open to hearing it, and they're very approachable.
That's really good. That's really good to hear, because at least when you feel like you want to learn more about certain things, you get to stay there longer, and then they let you do that. Okay, so from your perspective, what was the highlight of the whole program throughout your whole experience?
All these guys.
These guys. Honestly, it's cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. I think it's the people you work with.
Move around so much, right? And you get to meet many different people, so many different styles, so many different personalities, and you get to see every level, top down, bottom, left, right, every level. So it's very eye-opening. You don't just work and you look, top, looking from bottom up, but you get to see everything, like a holistic view.
Yeah.
And it's really something else.
Yeah, that will be the highlight for me too. I think just to give a different answer from like the people you meet, I think for me it will be the exposure that you get. I think we mentioned this earlier in one of the answers, but if you were a direct hire, for example, directly hired into a department to do one job, you typically would not be exposed too far away from your immediate team and your immediate department. But in this management associate program, I feel like we've seen it all. we got to know the CEO knows who we are, all the senior management team also knows who we are. And that's because like the event organizing, we have to engage much that we get to see how they work, how they are as people, and then across departments, not just within your own. You kind of learn their processes, just because if you're managing like an event that requires the finance side to contribute, requires like a strategy side to contribute and everything, you will have to liaise with everybody. And so in a sense, your project itself is also a rotation to see how the company works together to make one thing happen.
Okay. That sounds really nice, because when you're like moving around from a certain department to department, you're going to keep meeting new people, but at the same time you're adding new friends.
Yep.
That's nice. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share regarding the highlights?
I think for me also another highlight, I think me coming in personally, I thought strategy was going to be my department, because I think previously, just in general, I always thought that was something that I wanted to do and something I really liked. And I went into strategy, and it did not, it was not my passion, let's just say. I realized at that point that this is not what I want to do for the next 20, 30 years. And I guess that's where this kind of programs helped me, because if I had joined as a direct hire, I would be stuck here for a while, doing something, just say I'm not particularly enjoying, or not particularly something that I see myself doing. So that's something eye-opening for me that I noticed.
Wouldn't know any better if, let's say, you join one and you're just like, I don't like it, but maybe this is as good as it gets. You don't
know the extent of anything better or worse. So I think that's what the program allows us to. You have some that are just not your cup of tea, but you also have some really good ones that you realize, hey, this is my area, which is the one I'm currently in, and it wasn't completely taken by surprise.
I think it also helps you appreciate how other people work in other departments, because it's quite easy to complain that why is this guy so slow, and then but you've been in like, okay, I see,
I understand.
And because you understand it more now that you are experiencing it yourself, right? Okay, that's good. Okay, so from now that we've heard from our speakers and your insights, let's see if the viewers have any questions. So we have one from Croatia. So she asked, may I know what type of background do you guys feel that would be best suited for this position, or is it open to anyone?
Open to anyone. I can attest to this. I personally can attest. If you are a technical background person, for example, if you're an actuary, which is common in insurance companies, there are paths for you where you could do your entire rotation just in actuarial departments because you have the background. But a lot of actuaries that we know, if given a chance, they try to rotate out because they've only known actuarial their whole lives. So this gave them the chance to leave, but at the same time, they could practice their technical skills if they wanted to and join those departments as well. But for me, because I'm not from anything related at all, my background is in psychology, and then I did master's in psychiatric genetics. I went to departments that were not too technical, so I didn't go to any actual departments, I didn't go to any but I still had the freedom to choose things like human capital, internal audit, and what else did I go to? Healthcare services department. Strategy is also open to everyone. So there's a lot of options, because in the company, maybe we associate it with one specific role, but it takes like so many different roles to operate the entire company, right? So there's something for everybody.
Okay, fair. So there's a question for Koryang, and it's from Ashikin. So can you share with us what was the most fun experience that you had or the best project that you have ever worked on?
Why me? Best project I've worked on, I think, let's see. Best project I've worked on. I can't really share the full details, but I would say the project I worked on is how we can automate a lot of our reporting tools. Prior to this, we did a lot of the very manual way. We're getting data from IT. Then after getting data from IT, then they perform their reportings in Excel. So you can imagine how tedious it's like to do everything in Excel. So I was in the team to automate this entire process. So we were able to reduce like maybe 4 hours of work to under a few minutes using Tableau. So as a data analyst, you will use data visualization tools such as Power BI, Tableau, or even Google Data Studio. So in Great Eastern, we use Tableau, and we use it quite heavily. So we use a mix of Tableau Prep, basically the entire suite of the Tableau software. And yeah, I think it's quite interesting and memorable because I get to see how the kind of requirements come from different companies. I think it's okay. It's similar to group insurance, the one Jen was in. How group insurance is a B2B business, B2B, right? So we sell insurance products to companies directly. So the automation was done for that purpose. So we give a lot of reports to companies to give them to provide insurance cover during the yearly renewal. It can be quite technical because you wouldn't know what to suggest or what action to suggest if you don't know the business, right?
Yeah, so, true.
Yeah, I hope that answers your question. If you're interested in the MA program side before I department, I would say the memorable one is actually we did a huge event called Annual Dinner that I think Jen has not experienced yet. Yeah, so we did an annual dinner where we did that at KL, I think KLCC, right?
Yeah.
At KLCC, so there were like 1,500 staff there. So we even invited celebrities and even performance artists there. Then, it was quite fun. We had a huge team as well to support the entire function.
That's nice. So we have Hazik that's asking for advice on how can we control our emotions when dealing with a challenging situation at work.
I like that question.
Same, did not expect it.
Definitely, there's a lot of that. I think, yeah, a lot of that in corporate setting. I think it's very common because everybody has their own personality and their own way of doing certain things. I think it's just about, as in maybe if it was me, I think personally I would say it's just about learning the style and how that personality works. Obviously it doesn't match with us, so chances are most of the time sort of headbutt, or you may not like certain things. But I think at the end of the day, if you know what the goal is, it can be overcome with just adjusting your style and your personality to suit that sort of character.
I think another thing is if that stress is caused by someone else, but if that load is too heavy and you're stressed by that, okay, so this is assuming that you have people that you can talk to.
Okay.
Helps a lot to be honest that you cannot handle certain work. And chances are, okay, I heard this quote somewhere that something's like nothing is really that urgent. Okay, unless you're gonna die. So really make it seem that like super urgent and you're just thinking like, okay, this is all on me. But if you really talk to them and say like, okay, look, this I have too much, it's physically impossible for me to complete everything. You don't even have to stretch yourself to the point that you're awake 24 hours. It's just health and how you can handle things. It's like, I cannot handle this. Usually people can work around that and be like, okay, fine, this part, maybe we can give you a longer deadline. And so I think openly communicating what's causing you stress to someone you trust it really makes a world of difference.
Right. That's true. That is very true.
To add on to that, maybe before you get to that stage, right? Maybe you should learn to say no as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes
yeah.
how much workload you have or how much commitment you have.
Yeah, when you're juggling too many things.
So I think learning to say no is also an important.
Yes.
It is.
important
It's a skill. It's a skill.
Yeah. Or maybe not to say no, but later.
Yeah. True.
I can do it, but I can only deliver in next month or something, you know?
Okay. So in a way, be clear, right? Yeah. Okay. So the next question is from Nordini Shafika. And she asked, what would you guys suggest to students when it comes to their first ever career with not much of experiences?
Is this to do with applications or how to handle the first role that you get?
Probably handling the first role that you get, because when it comes to your first ever career with, zero to nothing experience.
How do you guys do it?
I would say to just take it easy, because the company know that you're a fresh graduate with maybe some experience or maybe no experience at all. In some uni, you don't even have, let's say, internship requirements. Right? So I would say just take it easy. Try your best to learn what you can learn, and most importantly, you should be open to others. If you don't know something, say it out. If you want to find out something, you should ask. Then most often than not, your seniors will always point you to the right direction. Yeah, they wouldn't throw you in the middle of a mess, then ask you to find your way out. Yeah, that is usually not the case. And if that is the case, then this is not the senior that you need to work with.
Get out.
True.
I think another thing is that you'd be surprised, but more often than not, people also don't know what they're doing. So something and then you're just like, oh man, I have no idea what this is, and everyone else knows, and I don't want to make it seem like I'm dumb. But sometimes find the courage, and it comes with practice. The more you ask for help, the easier it becomes over time. But the first few times you ask, maybe the few things that did comfort me was supervisors, saying that, I don't know, but we'll find out together, or something like figure it out together. Let me ask for you. In that sense, those little things reassures me personally that it's just like, okay, I'm not the only one who doesn't know, or that someone else also has to find out. So
it
helps you open up a little bit more to be like, I'm sorry, I don't really understand this part. I need help here, that kind of thing.
Okay. Following that question, she also asked, I would also love to know how to get rid of the fear of talking or to mingle around with new people. So how you say you have to speak up and whatnot. So what if she has the fear of mingling around or, talking to new people?
I think the program itself sort of takes that away, because part of the program is the fact that you get to mingle around and it's sort of out of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
So it sort of gets you out of that fear of mingling around, being able to talk to people. So it actually helps you, and it sort of helps you overcome that fear because you're made to do it, or at least you have to do it. I think that's one of the specialities of it, for those who just say find it difficult to mingle, find it difficult to speak. You're sort of told, or you sort of, I wouldn't say told, but you're sort of, you're in so many things that you kind of have to.
Yeah, I have to. And given the work that, where we have to work among each other regularly, right? Even if you do not have the courage to speak up, do not have the courage to
reach
talk,
out.
right? Somebody will reach out to you. Find, coming in the office 8 hours a day, you will start to realize you talk a lot more than you used to. Yeah, you get comfortable in communicating.
Yeah. And you eventually see these 5 days a week, 8 hours a day. You become very close to them, and you sort of overcome that, I think, after a while.
I think for one realistic way, I think that a lot of us were helped in terms of talking to people and stuff, was actually F-Step. So the program that we were sent to for 3 months to train under Bank Negara. First of all, you're put into a place where everyone's a fresh grad as well. They're in the same boat as you. So maybe the intimidation factor is not quite there the same way if you were talking to a senior person or something. So you're among your age group, and your peers who are on the same part of life as you are. And first of all, kind of have to talk to everybody to get the task done. But if let's say you're really shy, you'll have that one friend, right? The one person's also equally shy. And then you guys become friends. And then together you guys go and mingle with more people, and together you mingle with more people. And I think the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Again, with all the rotations, the job rotations, you have to keep meeting new people. So first in the deep end, and also you do have like the little support that comes along the way to help you navigate through that.
We do have of things that support us actually, these sort of things. So we have they recently started sort of like a coaching initiative. So basically one-on-one thing where you can go and talk about just say goals and your future aspirations and stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on to the next, we have a question from Ashikin asking, how do you motivate yourself to keep moving forward and to get over the disappointment when you face setbacks during this program?
I think disappointment is something you see not just in work but also in life. Yeah, you just need to be ready for it, and when it comes, it's just a phase of life, and I think to be motivated, I think you have to see the picture from afar. Like you think of what can I achieve by doing this 5 years time, and when you think in that horizon, you realize the disappointment today is just a very small issue. Right? And then even if you find it difficult to go through, you always have peers who are also in the same batch as you, to help you or to listen to your struggle. Yeah, so I would say I think all of us did feel disappointment or feel demotivated at one point in our career. So, by speaking up, I think speaking up is always the key. Let people know, and because surely after you tell people your struggle, right, and you'll be surprised that perhaps the other person also went through the same thing. Yeah, so you can help on each other.
Okay. I guess that comes to the end of our session. Thank you so much for a very insightful session on Great Eastern's Management Associate programs, also with your personal experiences. I hope the viewers today get to learn a thing or two from all the details that you've shared with us. The viewers can also vote for Great Eastern at Grad 1's Brand Awards. So we have come to the end. Thank you so much for everything today and everything that you've shared with us. Everybody should take care, stay safe, and have a great day ahead.
Thank you for coming, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
See you here.
See you.
We'll be here.